that we need to begin to uncover. And so I want to share with you today a few stories and what I hope to be a framework and a solution and a strategy and a pathway to healing, health, and well-being. And it is incumbent upon each and every one of us, and it's already been said, right, that we cannot even talk about healing. What I'm going to talk about today is how we live in a toxic environment. And that toxic environment doesn't only affect just the babies in our chocolate cities, but they affect us too. And we cannot begin that healing process until we begin to heal ourselves and identify what we need to heal from. And so I want to share this framework with you today and talk about my experience in working with African American youth over the past 20 years here in Oakland in what I call a radical healing. In a radical healing process. The kinds of things we do every day that can lead young people to a place of health and well-being. The conditions in our communities we're all familiar with. And I first, in 1986, began to recognize that there was a change going on in chocolate cities in America. In 1986, Mike, I don't think you was even born yet, brother, but I was in college. I was in college at San Diego State, and I don't know if y'all remember this, but this is when we wore high top fades and we had medallions, the Malcolm X. Y'all remember that? The Malcolm X medallions, right? And we go to fraternity parties. It was a time where black young folks felt that they belonged and had a sense of agency and a sense of power. It was a time when we were confronting apartheid in South Africa, right? We put our college careers on the lines and took over buildings because we knew that what was going on in South Africa was injustice. And so it was a time of optimism and hope for us. It was at that same time that I took a job at San Diego State, at a middle school in San Diego. And my job at that middle school was an interesting one. I was a junior in college, and my job, and I met my wife at that very middle school, but my job was to take all the bad kids in the whole school, and they would send them to the back of the bungalows. You know that bungalows way in the back of the school? That was the bungalow I was in. And they said, look, they bad, we can't do anything with them. Maybe you could do something with them. So me and my friend Daniel Walker, we didn't know what to do. And so we would do what we thought was best. So we would teach them African American history. So we started with Du Bois, and they would throw spitballs at us and cuss us out and run out of class. And so, okay, that didn't work. So we would try all these other things, and it didn't work because, see, they was hurting. The reason they was acting out in class is they was hurting. So one day we said, you know what, we can't continue to teach this curriculum like this. We can't, I don't know what to do. Let's do something else. And so we came up with just one question, and it changed our relationships with those young people forever. We asked them a simple question in class. We closed the door, we closed the windows, and we asked them to be quiet. And we said, we just want to ask you a question. And this is a question you could ask yourselves and the young people you work with, and just listen to what they have to say. We said, tell us about your fathers. That's all we said. That question changed everything. Because some of them got angry. What do you mean tell us about my daddy? I don't know my daddy. My daddy ain't nothing. He's a punk, man. He left. What do you mean telling me about? And so all this frustration and anger came out. Some of them even cried when we asked them the question because they had been hurting because no one had even asked them the question before. But what happened was they began to share pieces of their lives with us that mattered. And what happened was they began to tell us stories that they had been pushing down in their souls for so long. And because we were able to listen to them, we developed a relationship with them. And there was one relationship with a young brother, his name was Michael Barnett, that became my little mentor. Michael was a cool brother, would wear his hat sideways all the time, right? And he would come into class, with his little pimp walk, right, like this, right? And I liked Mike because he was a leader, and he really knew how to bring things together. And he would share stories about, how he would go to the skating rink, and he would come in, and we would just talk all the time, and we developed a mentor relationship. And one day he came up to me, and Mike was not on the college track. Remember, he was in the classroom in the back of the school with me. So he came up to me one day and said, Shawn, man, you know what? Tell me about college. I was like, college? You think you might want to go to college? And he said, yeah, tell me about it. And so I began to tell him about all the fun parts. I told him about the parties and, you know, all that stuff. And I said, you know, and then we go to class too. And he was like, yeah, that's cool. After that, I decided that I wanted to, he wanted to visit, so I was excited. I went back to my professors and I arranged a visit. Not for just Mike, but all of the students, a group of the students that were in that class. And I was excited, and I talked to the fraternities and the sororities. I talked to the professors, and I said, we're going to have a group of students, about 20 of them, that are going to come up here in the next few weeks, and I would really like for you to welcome them. I think that this could become a pathway for them to go to college. And so I came back to the school a week later, and I didn't see Mike, and I asked his friends, and they hadn't seen Mike. A couple of days had passed, and the weekend had passed. And so I saw Mike's good friend, and I said, Devon, where's Mike, man? I haven't seen him. I'm trying to get this group together to come up to college, come up to San Diego State. And he looked at me straight in the eye. He said, Shawn, you didn't hear? I said, hear what? He said, Mike was shot and killed over the weekend. And there's some things that happen in our life that change us forever. It was that moment, right, a moment for me that changed the way in which I saw my role and my responsibility and my commitment to my community forever. And that was at a particular time where Mike could have been going to college, experiencing the joys and the sorrows and the struggles with going to college. His life was taken away. And it was taken away because what I didn't realize is what was happening in chocolate cities across America was that black children were killing themselves. There was something fundamentally that had changed in the communities that I wasn't aware of in Chicago, in Detroit, in New York, in Oakland, San Francisco. That there was a transformation of the ways in which I grew up. Y'all remember? Your mama and daddy used to say, come in when the street light come on, right? We used to play football in the street. Y'all don't remember that? We used to play double dutch, and there was a different, even though we was broke and poor, there was something about the urban life, right? I call it the Kool-Aid syndrome, right? I used to drink Kool-Aid. I used to come out my house with red lips. All my friends did, right? We didn't have money, we didn't have much, but there was something about the substance of growing up in that kind of neighborhood and community, right? That brings a sense of joy, a sense of peace, even though we didn't have a lot of money. But something had fundamentally changed by 1990 in these chocolate cities. Something had transformed the minds and spirits and the hearts of the brothers and sisters in the same neighborhoods I grew up in. There's a sense of fatalism and hopelessness and rage that began to redefine the community in ways that I did not quite understand. In 1998, I think Notorious Big said it most poignantly. He said that back in the days, our parents used to take care of us. Look at them now, they even scared of us.